Good morning, everyone. My name is Tammy Eisenreich, and I'm a parent partner for the Lucas County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And today we are going to be talking with Matthew Reichiner. I guess I should have asked you about that. Did I say that right?
No, you didn't, but that's okay.
How do you say it? All these years
It
I've
gets
known you.
butchered all the time. It's Rickner.
Oh, that's so easy. Rickner.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of like the whole
Believe me, that
German.
you did much better than some people do. So I don't even I let it go.
Oh, wonderful. Well, you're from Sara's Garden, and do you also talk about New Horizons as well? Can you share a
Yeah,
little bit about that?
I'll mention it all as a quick history
Okay. Well, I'll
before we
let
get
you
into
start
funding.
with what you
Okay.
do in the community, and then we'll talk a little
Okay.
bit about the funding aspect of it for
Yep.
families towards the end.
Yep. Sounds good. So let me share my screen here, and I am doing desktop 2. Share.
Aw.
All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, Sara's Garden, we started in 2005 was when we became a nonprofit. But my sister passed away giving birth to her first child, and so as a result of the trauma from that delivery, my nephew Jackson was had a traumatic brain injury as a result of the lack of oxygen, and later diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And so we as a family were told all of the things that Jackson would, never be able to do. We didn't want to accept that, and so we started looking at other things that we could do for him, and we discovered hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And we started traveling around the country getting that service for Jackson. And it was in those travels that we met a lot of other families like us who were struggling to find services, struggling to pay for services. And that's when we said, well, why couldn't we start something in Northwest Ohio to help little kids? And so that's how Sara's Garden was born. And initially, it was simply, it had a very small group of kids that we thought we were going to be serving, and that was little children with cerebral palsy. And as we were open, we learned all the things that hyperbarics can benefit and all the different conditions it can benefit. And that's when we started treating more and more people of all different ages. Then as we've been open over the years, we started adding additional services as we saw those needs coming up. So we've added autism intervention, conductive education, which if you don't know about conductive ed, I could do an entire, hour presentation on conductive ed, at which I don't want to bore you, but basically conductive ed comes from Hungary. And it's a non-traditional approach to working with kids with neuromotor disabilities like cerebral palsy, adults with multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's disease or stroke. We've added occupational therapy, sensory, and then speech language pathology. So all those services we had for a number of years, and people would come to us for services, paying for those services out of pocket because we could not get anybody to talk to us in terms of insurance. Because we're not tied to a hospital system, independent, we were doing everything with people out of pocket. We were having amazing results, obviously, with all of our services, from someone that's coming back from overseas with traumatic brain injuries and post-traumatic stress disorders, to individuals in car accidents suffering traumatic brain injuries, burns, cancer, Lyme disease, multiple sclerosis, migraines, seizures, you name it. But all of that was paid for out of pocket. And I'll get into how we do that in just a little bit. Well, back in 2012, then, we had a couple families approach us and say, our schools don't want us anymore. They told us that our kids have too great a disabilities and they don't have services that they can provide for us. And they said, can we come to school with you? And we said, well, we're not a school. We're just a therapy center. You just come here and get therapies. And they said, well, can you please become a school? And so we started researching that, and we started New Horizons Academy in the fall of 2012 with a whole 2 students. And we midway through the year, we picked up 4 more. So we finished the year with 6. We started the next year with 26, then 40, then 80. And we now have 3 campuses across Northwest Ohio. So we've got our main campus here in Wauseon, where we serve just over, right around 90 kids here at the main campus. We've got our Springfield campus down by Texas Roadhouse in the Spring Meadows area, where we have over 60 kids, and then we've got over 20 kids out at the Career Center, which is our newest facility here in Wasion. We bought an old church and turned it into a career center. That was in the heart of COVID, where we'd really been spending a lot of time and effort trying to help our kids with vocational training opportunities and prepare them for life after us. Because at some point they have to leave us, and we needed to equip them as best as possible so that they could be as independent as possible. Well, when COVID hit, we couldn't take our kids anywhere, and we knew that was a problem, and so we decided to bring it in-house. Basically, as we took kids out in the community, many times all they were given the ability to do was take out the trash, wipe down tables, or clean windows. And we knew our kids were capable of so much more than that, but that's what businesses would allow us to do with the kids. And so we wanted to not only bring it in-house, but expand what the opportunities were for them. And so we started Special Grounds Coffee Company, which is based right out of our career center there in Wasion. And we do everything from start to finish. So we're roasting our own coffee. So kids are getting to take part in maybe roasting, bagging, labeling, everything that's made in the cafe to eat. All the sandwiches and pastries and salads are all made in-house. We're not buying anything and bringing it in. The kids are getting to take part in making all of that as part of the different vocational shifts that they might get to do throughout the day or the week. And so it's just awesome that no matter what a kid's abilities are, we have something for them there at the coffee shop to be able to do. So if we have somebody that can't keep their hands out of their mouth, obviously we can't put them in food service or put them up front. So we have back of house stuff where they might be labeling coffee bags, or labeling the putting our stamp, if they have motor skill issues, putting our stamp on the coffee sleeve that goes on the cups. So there's something for everybody's ability. And then we've got kids that are up front working the cash register and the drive-through window, which is pretty awesome. And we've even been able to start hiring them once they reach a certain stage in their vocational training, where we actually get to hire them and they get to become employees then, and they get to make money. And some have even stayed on and become employees post-graduation, which is pretty exciting to see them come full circle from being a student to now being an employee. So that's pretty awesome. So how do families afford to come here? On the school side, all of our kids don't pay a dime to come here. They come on either the Autism Scholarship or the John Peterson Scholarship, which are available through the state of Ohio. So our families don't pay anything. A lot of scholarship providers across the state will treat that as a la carte and say, okay, you want these services, that takes this much of the scholarship, and now you need to start paying out-of-pocket parent for all of the additional services. We don't do that. We take the scholarship as payment in full, and they get all of our services available to them as they need on their IEP. Some families that come to us for out-of-pocket payments, we've been able to run through workers' comp, and workers' comp has happily paid to get their employees back to work. Some businesses pay for their employees to come here for services because it helps them get back to work sooner. Some families have the means to pay out of pocket. It's a very small percentage, but some do. So some are self-pay and they just pay out of pocket. The majority of our families, for everyone who comes here for the hyperbaric oxygen therapy and any therapy or service that is not tied to the school, comes here through donations though. And we have a donation process that we call our family sponsorship process. And with that, it's kind of like our own private GoFundMe, but we don't take 27% of the money and keep it to use for administrative purposes. The problem with a lot of things nowadays is people are donating to large national organizations and they don't know where the money goes, or they hear horror stories where the money goes later. And people love this family sponsorship process because they get to see a family, they get to donate to this family and know that 100% every single penny donated goes to that family in question that they're donating to. And so whereas, even if they pay via credit card and we get hit with a 3% credit card transaction fee, we eat that. Every penny donated goes to the intended family. And that's what people and businesses and organizations love, is they get to see where their money is going, and then they get to see what their money did, because they get to see those kids and those people after the fact and see that the impact that their donations had on them. And so that's why that's been super popular. And then, like, instead of GoFundMe where you're paying it and then they're taking a big cut of it and the rest of it is going on to the family, we don't do that. Every single penny donated goes into an account to pay for that family services. Any questions so far? I could go for hours, so I want to.
Well, one thing I thought I read, didn't you guys just get a van or something? Are you guys going to become
Uh,
mobile?
Yeah, so we haven't taken it out yet, but there was a family that had passed away over here in Williams County, and the trust asked us to write a grant for something that would help with vocational for our students, because it was what they were really into. And so we actually got a grant to build a coffee truck. And so we built a brand new 40-foot long coffee truck. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the whole goal of that is to get that out in the community for even more opportunities for kids. Specifically, obviously, our students down at our Springfield campus, we want to be down there a couple days a week, so it's there. We're bringing them here every week to work out of the coffee shop, but it'll be nice to take something down to them there. And then we've got a lot of other partner schools with their special ed departments that have said, hey, can we bring our students there to work? And we have to cut them off at some point, because we need to make sure we have work for our kids first and foremost, right? And so it'll be nice that we could go out to, Bryan schools or Defiant schools or something like that, and say a day that we're going to be there, and then their kids get to come out and be a part of that working there, and then proceeds from that day can help be donated back to their special ed department or something like that. So yeah, that's something we're really excited about, and right now we're starting to interview for people to run the truck, because not only do you have to find somebody who has a passion for coffee and a passion for customer service, but you got to find somebody who isn't intimidated by a 40-foot long truck to drive around.
Yeah. Any chance it'll be up and running by September 17th? That's when the Lucas County Fall Festival is. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, I gotcha. What day is the 17th?
Very good question. Let me look at my calendar real quick. It's a Sunday.
I can check. What
Noon
we've
to
started
4.
doing just to get used to it is we've had some of our partner organizations or donors, we've gone out to events for them and just given away coffee, because we don't yet have our food license for it yet, because we're still making some final tweaks on the truck. So we can't sell anything out of it, but we've gone out and donated coffee or cold brew for that day for a period of time. So I can check to see if anybody's available.
Okay, and I'm totally speaking off the cuff. I know they would never turn you away. It would be a great addition to the Fall Festival. So I can get the right contact person once you say it's even a go, if it's an option.
Yep.
But I know that they would, we definitely would do anything.
The other thing, whether it's available or not, is you get a truck and it's all those things, they deliver it to you and it looks beautiful, but you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it. And the windows in the truck, the serving windows, go up and down, and we never thought anything about it. Well, we started going out and doing events in it, and you have to bend down so far to get underneath that window to open it up and talk out it. And I called the company back and I said, we need those windows to slide side to side so that we can stand up, because people are complaining that their necks are hurting and their backs are hurting because they can't get down low enough to get underneath it. So we're going to be actually taking it back to the manufacturer to have some windows replaced out in it. So yeah, I don't know exactly. I hate to commit to something when I don't know when that truck's going to be going back to the manufacturer for a little tweak.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a pretty exciting thing that we have coming. We're pretty psyched to see what that can do for the kids as we expand the reach of the coffee shop.
Just to make sure I understood, that you say you take the scholarship for the school portion. Are you guys 12 months, or do you do the 9-month with summer camp in the middle, during the summer months?
Yeah, we run a typical school year, so we're mid-August to mid-May, and then we have optional summer camps that we run in the summer, June being here in Wauseon and July being down in Toledo.
Do either of your locations provide transportation?
No, so because we are a non-public charter. There's so many nons and everything in there. We're a non-public charter school, so we're not a chartered community school. But because we are chartered in the state of Ohio, schools have to transport to us if the school is within 30 minutes of us. So that was a nice thing, and that's the reason we did go get the charter. We didn't want to. but parents were asking us to be able to do that so that they could have transportation provided. Selfishly, we loved every day that parents would transport to us because we got to talk face to face with parents every single day. And that's always awesome when you get to have those conversations in person in the morning and the afternoon. But obviously, we knew parents needed to work and needed to be able to send their child on a bus, and so that's why we got the charter. So most kids that come to us come through their schools busing them to them, and then we have some parents that live outside of those windows that still transport to us.
So even though they're on the autism scholarship, the school is still providing transportation.
Correct, because we are a charter school. If you are not a charter school like previously when we were non-chartered, non-public, then and just considered a scholarship provider, then by taking the scholarship, you're waiving that right and you have to transport. But because we are charter, a school has to transport if they're within 30 minutes.
So both locations, even the one in Holland?
Yeah, so obviously if it's 30 minutes from the Holland one to transport to Holland and 30 minutes from Midlothian to transport to here.
Right, that is news to me because I've had many families that have toured the Springfield location, and that was one of their concerns, is the transportation, getting them there.
Let's just say that Toledo Public tries to say that they don't have to transport.
And do you guys help families re-educate
Technically,
them?
we have to stay out of it. We educate the parent that they have that right, and then they have to work with ODE to get the school to recognize that. But because we're not allowed to get into the middle of it, but we do let them know that it is their right if they're within that mileage.
Do you help with IEP meetings then too, when the families are?
Yep. So the IEPs are still owned by the district. In the state of Ohio, the home school still owns that IEP and writes that IEP as if they were going to school there. So many of the services we're providing here, like conductive ed or some of the vocational stuff that we do, are not written in the IEP because the school stance is they wouldn't be getting that if they were going to school there. But we still do take part in it. At some IEP meetings, you'll see verbiage in there that's all stuff that my staff has written. You have another IEP meeting that you go to, and there's not a word in there that we provided. So we give them the input. They can choose to use it or not.
Okay. Monica, did you have a question?
I do. I have a question. Hi, Matthew. My question is about your summer programming. If you have summer programming that's available for students who need extended school year services. So I work for a school district, and sometimes we have families who are looking for things to do in the summertime for ESY, and I'm just wondering if your summer programming will fit that.
Yep. Yeah, we do. We have certain partner schools that have asked us to do ESY, and so that's something that we do. Obviously, there has been an increased amount of need for that because of a lot of programs that have closed down. And so we sometimes have to cut it off and say we can't take any more students just because we got to make sure that we're supporting all the students that we have. But yeah, absolutely. We have students that we partner with schools and take their students on ESY.
Hypothetically speaking, what does that time frame look like when a school district would have a conversation with you about ESY if we needed to get a student into services?
Some schools we're talking to all year long. Some schools are calling us, in the spring. We like to typically have stuff nailed down, a couple months ahead of time, just so we make sure that we have enough staff. So I'd say usually encourage people at least by the first of the year to start reaching out if they have a need. And then so what we do is we first of all put it out to staff, see who's interested in working summer camps, and get a feel for how many staff we're going to have, and then that tells us about how many students we can accept.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And that also varies based on the student and their needs, right? Because you might have some students that have to have a one-on-one person with them, whereas others can operate. We like it to be small groups, obviously 3 to 4 kids, just because that seems to be really good for kids to be able to operate in a group instead of just a one-on-one, because life typically isn't a one-on-one situation. We're trying to teach them to be successful in a group situation. So, but yeah, it's first of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Matt, we also had a question about if you, are you waiver funded? You didn't mention that in your block of where funding has come from for you.
Yeah, no, we are not a waiver provider.
What is your age cap?
With the school?
Yes, and then
So
also the
with this,
career.
okay, so with the school, we can start taking kids on the autism scholarship as early as 3 years old, on the John Peterson as early as 5 years old. And then students can stay till their 22nd birthday if they are not able to meet the graduation requirements for the state of Ohio. So we have some students that come to us and they, academically they get done in time and they graduate on time. Others, if they are not do not have the ability to meet graduation requirements, parents can choose to have them stay till their 22nd birthday. Then after that, I mean, in terms of people working there, we've got individuals with disabilities that are in their 40s that are out working in the coffee shop.
Okay, so they don't necessarily have to kind of move up through your program. They can hire in as a job.
I have people out at the coffee shop that are employees that never spent a minute at our school.
Okay. So is the career, I'm sorry, was it Career Center? Is that still up and running, or you moved it in-house with COVID?
No, the
With the
Career
coffee
Center
shop?
is what we started out there where the coffee shop is, the church out on the south side of town.
Okay, so could you still have like a teen coming just to get career skills? Like I'm thinking of ODE.
The Career Center is part of New Horizons, and so in summer camp we do. We have teens that have come to us that have not been students that come to us as part of our summer program. They spend the whole time out at the Career Center doing vocational opportunities. During the normal day and school year, all the students that are out there have been our students.
So is that still just a 22 then, the Career Center during the summer and
Correct.
such? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for Matt? Okay. I don't know if you want to, I was just going to say thank you again for spending time with us today.
Absolutely.
And if any of you guys have any questions about Sara's Garden, you can find it at sarasgarden.org, right? ORG?
Yep.
And I'm sure Matt, as we said, his email is matt, M-A-T-T-R, at sarasgarden.org. So if you have any questions, he'd be more than happy to answer them. Thanks again.
Yep. Thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Of course.